Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the East Baton Rouge Parish Library's Mid-City Microcon. Although this is our third year doing the Mid-City Microcon, this is our very first 100% virtual con. The Mid-City Microcon is a celebration of diversity in comic book characters, creators, and their fans. This event provides a free, inclusive opportunity for new and lifelong fans to find themselves in the world of comics and art, both on the page and behind the scenes. We strive to amplify the voices of creators who challenge the status quo, especially those who have been historically underrepresented in the comic book industry, and also local creators from Baton Rouge and Louisiana. Unlike many comic book conventions, the Mid-City Microcon does not charge a fee to vendors nor attendees, thereby allowing more freelance, independent, and self-published creators a space to showcase their work. For more information about this year's Microcon, as well as previous years, please visit our website at ebrpl.com/mcmc. Thank you.
This is the virtual Mid-City Microcon. We're talking about self-publishing today. Of course, we're with the Tuskegee Heirs, Marcus Williams and Greg Burnham. This live session is being recorded. It will be made available on the website soon. It's family friendly, but conversations may be fluid. So we ask that people just keep it respectful in the comments as well, and we will try to keep to the topics. So I see Marcus got up and wandered off somewhere.
Do that sometimes.
Grab books like I don't have books on deck.
I got books. I gotta get these books, man.
So before we get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Keith Cooper. I'm one half of the Blurtish podcast, and I'm also an employee here at the East Baton Rouge Library. And we're just happy to have you all back for your second Mid-City Microcon.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Happy to be back. As I told you earlier, I wish that we were actually there, not just because of the food or because, my niece goes to LSU, but just overall, we really enjoyed the convention. And we could use that type of happiness right now.
Yes, as we know, a lot of stuff has been heavy on the mind. But today we're going to try to bring some levity into people's lives as much as we can. And we're going to get started. So self-publishing. So $1 million question. What got you into taking the self-publishing route?
There's many things. We only got an hour, so we're going to truncate. I don't know. I know you've heard before, but I don't know if the people have heard our story of how we actually got started making, we got started. I met Marcus because I was trying to find somebody to do a comic book with. We did one, turned out pretty cool. We were selling it out of a store. We were selling a nice amount of copies, but we were printing them up at Kinko's. And we actually were losing money every time we sold the comic. We were like stapling them by our, doing everything ourselves. But, we didn't really understand the business. So fast forward, we stopped that after a while because it just wasn't lucrative. We were like young, and both of us, Marcus didn't have his children yet, but they were coming. And so we were like, we got to figure out something else. So we did some other business stuff. And then I think we really started learning when Marcus started doing Hero Cats, which is published by Action Lab. And at the same time, we had done a couple of children's books, and, I went through a publisher for those. And I think the whole time we were like double agents, like reverse engineering everything that was happening and figuring out how we could do this for ourselves. There's a need like for what we do, especially when we got started. It was rare to be able to see the type of content that we make. And so we wanted to do it so we could have control over everything.
Nice. So I guess that kind of leads.
I'm gonna try to find visual reference while we're talking about certain things, I should have those files. But if I find it, can I share it to my screen? Is that okay?
I believe so.
Okay, cool.
So
Continue.
you kind of mentioned some things, the benefits. So I guess if you want to go deeper into the benefits of self-publishing, what has it been for you all?
I think first off, and we see this all the time, like with comic books, we see like these really cool comic book properties that are being released. A few years ago, it was Power Man and Iron Fist. Sanford Greene and David Walker was doing that book. I loved that book, man. I mean, it was like my number one. I loved everything. I could hear music when I was reading that book. You know what I'm saying?
And the clothes. Yeah, the clothes details.
Yeah. And then they canceled it. And so in my mind, I'm like, you had a really, really good title, but it didn't meet whatever standard, whether that was selling or whatever. So that was our first thing, was like, you know, as you know, with Tuskegee Heirs, we don't put them out monthly, you know. So would a company, you know, like if we did get on with Marvel or DC or any publisher, would they just say, hey, we're not selling enough and cancel it? You know, so we're selling, we're doing pretty well with them, you know, to where it's like we want to keep going, but we're doing it at our own pace. So that's one of the, you know, the control to be able to say, hey, I'm going to keep going with this series because we know what the end game is. We know how it pays off. And, you know, we want to really get it to our fans. That's the number one thing. But then you also have all the other stuff. So when you go through publishers, like I still, two of my children's books are done through publishers. So they maintain like online sales and all of that. And you get like, I think it's like quarterly. I don't even be paying attention, I'm not gonna lie. You get quarterly, you know, checks, like royalty checks for the amount of books they sold, which is totally different than me selling a book right now online, selling Tuskegee Heirs, and that money coming directly to our business, you know? So you're not having to wait around. And that middleman thing, which there are perks to it, but in a lot of instances, that middleman they're just there and they're going to take their cut and they're going to manage how you know, get paid, all of that stuff. We use the money that we make off the book sales, you know, for travel, for whatever business stuff that we need to handle. So it really helps to be able to have access directly to your cash.
Definitely. I'm sure it's like a great feeling, as you know, when, you know, a person who said, I've seen you on the internet, I've seen this book, and then they come and get it and they put that money in your hand. What is that?
Man, it's, go ahead, Marcus.
No, I was. We were talking about it the other day, and I tried to explain it. I said the hard part about not doing conventions this year is that's like a soul food in itself, man. When you get to make a fan, but it's not just, you know, they just like your art or they just like your work or your product. When you actually get to shake someone's hand, you actually get to answer questions. They get to feel your energy about, you know, what they can tell that you're passionate. You can tell that they're passionate. That's a whole different layer. That's numbers of layers of transaction in terms of energy, and that feeds the creative. So it's, yes, you want to make money at a convention. Absolutely want to make it worthwhile. The travel, the hotel, the food, the money, the monetary get back. Of course, you're expecting that. But when you meet those people that are genuinely excited about coming to pick up something you know, toiled and worked, and it took many, many weeks now and months, when they genuinely are passionate, man, and whether they're with their family or by themselves, that feeds the soul. Like we can actually say that was a great convention. We're tired, especially when we're doing a gauntlet, but you come out of a convention like that saying, "That felt good, though. That felt really good." The one that happens in January in Harlem, Black Comic Fest. We try to explain it to other people that have not gone. And we're like, we've gone to some of the biggest ones. We've been to San Diego, we've been to New York. Those are hundreds of thousands of people, but the feeling is different at the one in Harlem. It's because everyone's there to genuinely support, and they're genuinely like, keep doing what you're doing. I know you guys are working hard. Please don't stop, or threatening, if we stop, they're gonna hurt us. So.
Yeah. I work really well under threats of violence.
Right.
And with
when have I not told you about getting a new copy? All the time.
Exactly, right. And keep just to your point, like when we were doing the Blurtish, podcast, what was that, about a month ago? Everything, quarantine just messes everything up. But when you were talking about issue 3, and saying how that was your moment, like you was like, like that, when you get that and you're face to face with people, it's really like a different level of validation, right? Like we make these books and people might see it online and be like, oh, that's some cool art. Let me just get this, but we don't, sometimes people come back online and they tell us, how they love the books or whatever. But overall, we can't really tell that. And even if you tell me by typing on Instagram, it's not the same as when we're talking to people face to face and shaking their hands and seeing that, legitimate excitement for what we do. So, like when we were in New York Comic Con last year, and I had just released The Search for Sadiqah, and I think I told you about this, the lady and her husband came and they were on their honeymoon, and she was like, we need to go here because she found out I was going to be there. And she was like the first person, like they came to get the book. And, that kind of stuff is like, okay, you're always looking at yourself saying, is this, am I doing this right? And when people are showing you that, it's like, it gives you that fuel. So those days where you feel like not pushing on, it's like you can bring those things up. Marcus said something a long time ago. He was like if you can see behind him, you got a big Tuskegee Heirs banner behind him. We put that stuff up in our houses just to, remind, like, I got to keep cranking on this,
And just to say, and just to confirm what that lady on her honeymoon was, every time I see you all, y'all empty my pockets. So I'm like, I got to get new things. I still have like my man cave that's going to be probably a wall dedicated to you all. And I want more, so I just like, I have it saved in a special place. I'm going to frame each one. I have the Black Panther ones that you did. Of course, they're going to definitely be in the special frame, considering things. But I wait. So, I'm glad that you made her honeymoon. So you kicked off the wedding in a very special way.
Yeah.
But so we heard about some of the benefits, but of course we got to ask, what are some of the downsides of being a self-publisher?
So I'll just explain real quick my morning. Like I traveled. I'm out of state right now, but I moved. I got tons of books, everything. I tell Marcus I'm a mobile distribution center right now, and this morning went to me answering people. A guy ordered volume 1, but he thought it was 3 separate books. So I had to, do the customer service part. We handle our distribution. So we're mailing out where, you're always dealing with customers who were like, where are my books at? Sir, you ordered it yesterday. Oh, okay. So we deal with a lot of that and a lot of great customers, but, so your customer service has to be tight. Marcus, you want to talk about like the actual producing of a book, because it's so much more than what it would seem.
Right. No, I think so I've gotten the pleasure to work with actual publishing companies. Action Lab was one of them. I did Hero Cats back in the day. So So what you come to understand, the normal comic pipeline is, you know, you have a writer, you have a penciler, you have an inker, you have a colorist, you have someone that does the lettering, and you have usually an editor that makes sure everything's right.
Oversees
you have multiple, like you have a whole X-Men roster that's like, we're gonna do this in a month. Yeah.
And I just want to add, sometimes you have multiple inkers or multiple pencilers or colorists. So, yeah.
Right. Or multiple writers. There could be multiple writers working on one. So when you divvy that wonderful roster of 7 or more people and you whittle it down to just 2, or, you know, 2 or 3. Sometimes we do get help for coloring and things like that, or additional inking. It does help, but it's still a low-man crew. And self-publishing means you may not, you don't see I don't see money. Like we don't pay for our part of it because we're the owners and we're trying to, you know, make sure we get as much rolled into getting that product out and so forth. So if we have to pay for additional help, that's a cost, but we usually eat that cost. When you're self-publishing and you own it and you actually are trying to make profit, you have to cut costs everywhere. You have to actually absorb costs as much as possible and hope that you actually say, okay, hey, we did spent thousands on a print run, we traveled, this, that, and the other, but we made enough to actually cover those costs. And now we can think about printing the next book, or we still have everything we sell after this point is profit for our company. If you're going through a publisher, you don't have to worry about any of that. They do all the printing, they do all the marketing, the promoting, the traveling to shows. Some artists, I think to them, I talk to them and they're like, yeah, I don't even like going to shows. I'm like, huh? So wait, you just put a book and you don't go to shows. But in self-publishing, it all falls to your shoulders. And I like using the analogy. It's like having a kid. Producing a comic is the first step. You know, you did the work to make the book, and it's out. You know, this is first day it's been born. You're holding it in your hands. You're like, oh, this is great. That's not where the work stops. That's where it starts. And producing everything up to that point is it's a labor of love. No one is gonna know how much work you put into each book, but you and your fellow teammates, and then everyone else is just gonna read it in 15 minutes and say, that was great, when's the next one? You're like, I don't think you understand, sir.
You gotta read this thing 11 times.
So it's really a labor of love producing comics. It's not supposed to be a low man thing. You can do it. I tell everybody, you can do it because it feels really, really great when you complete it. But unlike children's books is a different market and a different beast. You can do one children's book and people will love that one book. They will never say, they may even ask, are you going to do more? But they will cherish and read that one children's book every night to their children, over and over and over and over and over and over. They don't do that with comics, man. I mean, passionate comic fans probably do, but children's books and comics are different in that way. Comic books is episodic and it's expected that you hurry up and do the next one so the story can continue. A children's book can have an isolated, a story and a cliffhanger even, but people will be like, yeah, I loved it. It was our favorite book through my kids' childhood. I was like, oh, that's cool. So it's a very, very different process. I do love, finishing a book. It feels great, but man, it's a lot of work.
I heard the struggle in that man. I heard the tears. So I guess we're counting this down. So when we say self-publish, not only are you the creator, let's see, you are the traveling salesperson, you are the mobile distribution, you are distribution, you're the hype man, like a DJ for a DJ on the weekends or whenever. Let's see, you're your own social media marketeer, your regular marketing. Let's see what else you are. So that's several hats right there to get one book done and you always have to promote it. So you're constantly in marketing mode. But there's also another title, and hopefully I'm not going too fast, but y'all probably can explain this one in vast detail. You have to be a banker. You have to raise capital. You have to get funds to do this. So let's talk about the methods you use to raise funds, the troubles, the successes you have with it, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the funds, or if you can't get it done some type of way with whatever level of funds you have nothing.
So, nowadays the crowdfunding is a really good tool to, try to generate some funds. To me, it does a couple of things, right? Because it also gives you, like, if you do it pure, and what I mean by pure is if you're like putting it out and trying to see what the fans' reaction is to it, it can kind of give you a gauge on how to go forward, right? So if you do a crowdfund and you only get 75 people or 100 people to contribute, maybe right now, to order less books, when you do your print run. Whereas if people go crazy, you can go, okay, man, maybe I need to, try to grab like 3,000 or 4,000. But Kickstarter, I think, is working. It's the one that I prefer. We did a Kickstarter for Tuskegee Heirs. We were trying to raise $10,000. We ended up getting 10,000 in 8 hours. And then, we went on to raise a total around 74,000 in a 30-day period. So that, of course, is the quickest way, I guess, like the most painless way. But what it does right away, you're bypassing gatekeepers, right? If you could take the greatest idea, think about, I always think about Stranger Things, the TV show. They went to, they got 18 no's before somebody said yes, before Netflix said yes.
Really?
That show is one of the shows that I feel like is going to define a generation of shows. And so they had this awesome idea and people just said, no. Kickstarter, like crowdfunding, it automatically, knocks that out of the park. You're not worried about somebody telling you, nah, we're not going to do it, because you can raise the funds directly through crowdsourcing. So it's cool. And I think, we didn't all the way have our plan. We weren't expecting to get the kind of attention that we got. And with that came all these comic book conventions and all this stuff. So in our minds, when we did the first one, we were like, yeah, man, we're going to have this done by July. We did it in January, which now we realize we made a mistake by saying we were going to have it finished that fast. But, it's all lessons. When I did the one for the Search for Sadiqah, I already had the book done. Because it was like, I didn't want to go through that part again. But now my next one, I'm going to be releasing that before the book gets finished. That's going to be coming next month. So crowdsourcing is good there. I haven't tried Indiegogo, but I've heard some pretty cool things about that as well. But right now, I'm just comfortable with Kickstarter, I guess.
Marcus, you have anything to add to that?
The banker question, or
yes,
the specifics? Oh yeah. I don't think there's ever a time that you can really not think about creating or generating more income for your product, for your brand. And if you go to a lot of shows, you have to pay attention to the successful tables. You have to look at other vendors and say, okay, we don't have that. Stickers, buttons, T-shirts, mouse pads. Yeah, you kind of have to always think about new ways to generate income and what areas, where's your market? How is the market changing? Things like that. So I don't think there's any shortage of conversations between me and Greg about Tuskegee Heirs brand, things that we want to do with the brand, different ways we want to approach, generating income. Do a great job with the comic, but posters, T-shirts, and more it's all we can either, if we're doing something, we're thinking about doing it better.
Yeah,
is there a better way to sell comics? That's a question that everyone in the comic industry is asking, but you have to think that way, because that's your product. And but it's not the only one that you can have. So if you say, let's sell T-shirts, that's not a small venture if you understand the business of T-shirts or apparel. Period. There's 10 different ways to do apparel and T-shirts. So yeah, you have to do that. It's anybody that isn't doing that is kind of shooting themselves in the foot. It's like slashing your tires before trying to go on a road trip. You're gonna get somewhere, but you're probably not gonna make it to where you're going before breaking down. You have to generate as much income as possible. So no, I think me and Greg wear that hat all the time. And so yeah, that's I think it's a necessity, especially in comics. When I worked on Hero Cats, the cool thing I learned about the comic shop owner is he had a comic shop, but he made most of his income with card games, hosting card gaming events at his shop and selling cards. And I was like, but you sell comics? And he's like, yeah, no, comics are good, but card gaming is where it's at. That's where the money is. And a lot of kids were interested in that. So hosting events at his comic shop brought in hundreds of dollars every tournament, things like that. So as a vendor, as a retailer, he was trying to stay ahead of the curve because he saw other comic shops close in the wake of not selling enough comic books. So you can't keep all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Yeah. And I would just also, as far as the banking and everything, we took the proper steps. We went and trademarked our property. We started a publishing company. And I guess since we're talking about self-publishing, these are important things to mention, right? Yeah. So we started a self-publishing company. We have, it's a legal entity. We have our banking, our bank account, specifically for the publishing company. Because that's a tip that, we learned over the years. You don't want to be mixing your money. So we've always had like a separate bank account that handles that. And what happens is you can end up, spending, because I was doing it with my children's books and my other book, my other comic up until, recently. And then a couple of days ago, I'm working on a new children's book, and the artist was, we were talking about the down payment and everything. And I was like, oh man, I got to wait till I get this. And, I spent like a whole day, like, I got to wait. I'll be able to get it to you Friday, before I realized, nah, stupid, you got a whole account with money sitting over. This is what you planned for, So it's important to definitely separate your money out and take care of, go through the legal procedures, which is trademarking, starting, your company. We have our publishing company is called Parent LLC. It's owned by Marcus and myself, no middle people, and we could, so we can definitely grow, pay business taxes, do all of that stuff, and not have to, be personally liable.
Cool. So I guess kind of something that I think Marcus said about the guys who don't want to sell their stuff. Can y'all elaborate on that? Why do you think an artist would do all this work, go through all this hassle, raise this capital, and not feel like they need to sell it, or the stigma of selling? Because I come across that myself. I see that.
I think number one, so let's, and this is no slight, this is just, actuals here. If let's say me and Marcus worked for any, publishing company, and we put our blood, sweat, and tears into a property. At the end of the day, we don't own any of it, right? So there's the passion's not the same, right? Like if you don't really own, like you're not really getting residuals. Like you might pay a publisher to give you some books and you can sell them and everything, but it's different when it's like yours and you have sole responsibility. And you know that if you're not, like if we go to New York Comic Con and bomb out, that, this is going to set our business back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's part of it. I think there's another part where I think some of it, like if you get, like if when we come as guests, like when people, pay for us to be guests, we work just as hard as when we pay on our own, because it's funny, Marcus always calls conventions a social event. We're social people. So it's like, we want to know how you're doing. We like to hear when people are, talking to us about their ideas. And I think some people, especially, artists that are more introverts, they're just not really, it's not even that they don't want to sell. It's just that they're, not into that scene the same way.
And I love what you said about being social. You actually met my wife in Jackson, I think. Mm-hmm. And we were talking basketball and we were just talking about everything. Like you were getting books while talking about the Lakers stuff. So I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I would say it really is a skill. And not everybody is equipped with the skill of, I guess, being comfortable in those environments. There's people that have anxiety, so it's not a knock on everyone. It's just, to me, it's counterproductive to pay, because the people that actually do come to the show, they get the plane ticket, hotel, pay for the table, and don't talk to people at the show baffles me. I just don't understand. I don't care what you're dealing with, to do all of that investment into being somewhere physical, to not talk to those customers is completely counterproductive in my opinion. It's just, I don't understand that at all. But even if you suffer from those, let's say anxiety, social anxiety, you don't like large crowds, you aren't a great salesman. We've sat next to people that don't do well at selling stuff. We've sat at the table, we've shared tables. But it's one of those things to say, not everybody's on par with being confident in those environments. And that's okay. But that's the same as to say, if you want to open a business, if you want to open a restaurant, and you're not good at dealing with people, you're sabotaging yourself. You have to either get better at it or be open to improving that skill. Go to classes, go to workshops, whatever you have to do. But going to a Comic-Con I call it a social event, and it's a business convention at the same time. You go to any business convention, what do you have in your pocket? Business cards, your contact information, all that stuff. And you're ready to shake people's hands and talk to them, because that's why you're there. You're not there to be antisocial at a business convention.
No.
And it's very much similar at a business convention. You're selling yourself. So people shake your hand and say, hey, what do you do? Well, my name is Marcus Williams. I'm an artist. I do, this. I work on Tuskegee Heirs, and here's my art. Have you ever seen my work before? No. Oh, okay. Well, here's my 10-second elevator pitch, just to kind of give you an idea. Feel free to look at my portfolio. And then, oh man, I really like your work, so I'm interested. And, you sell yourself first and your work second. But yeah, if you're not good at those things, man, you have to it's a business. Any kind of business you're getting into where you don't deal with customers. You can have an online business, but you're most likely going to be dealing with, like Greg was saying, customer service. Following up with things and dealing with people in some capacity. So you're still going to have to practice those things. So you're not harsh or abrasive, because people will remember that stuff. Like, yo, I talked to that dude and he didn't even look at me.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And
so that's a real thing.
I was just gonna say, staying with that business thing, a couple of things that we learned a long time ago. And as much as I love Field of Dreams, you know, if you build it, that doesn't mean they're going to come. You know, you have to be, you know, inviting. You have to, you know, like we see people that'll look at the art and everything. If you lock eyes with us, just simple. We're not trying to go out of our way to sell anything to you. We're not badgering anybody. Hey, how's it going? You know, those simple little things, you know, can help. And they might walk by you and then they might come back. I was looking at this, you know, but it's just, you know, just those simple things and treating it like a business. So when we go to conventions, my eyes are watering like crazy. When we go to conventions, a lot of people, like other artists and sometimes fans, they'll be trying to get us to go out and hang out. And we're like, man, and it's nothing against them. Some of these people are awesome, but it's more of a thing like, man, we already know we got to get home. Like, you go to New York Comic Con, that's 4 days, man. I'm talking to thousands of people each day. Same thing with San Diego, same thing with C2E2 and Emerald City. So your voice, like our voices are gone, you know, by Sunday evening. So it's like you're doing everything you can to be able to be present at the table. We know we got a joke, but we know like if we're late getting to our table at New York Comic Con, that's like $500-600 if you're an hour late. You know what I'm saying? Because it rolls like the people. It's such a huge convention, you know. So it's like we're trying to be at our table, at least one of us at the table at all times. And, you know, we really look at it as a business event. So
what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of look in the chat while we're kind of at like maybe 25 minutes left. If y'all have any questions in the chat, feel free to drop them. We might get to them, you know, help y'all out to talk to Greg and Marcus. So next question. Let's see. I guess we'll talk about distribution. So we know that y'all do direct distribution. Oh, see the look on his eyes, man. Like, what other methods than direct distribution do you do? Do you have any? Have you placed your books in any stores or any other type of things?
So we have our regular stores like Amalgam Comics and Coffee House in Philadelphia. They're always carrying our titles. We sell out and then they, you know, order more. We have Challenges Games and Comics in North DeKalb Mall in Atlanta, in Decatur actually. A few different shops in Atlanta. Titan. Are they still called Titan? They're not called Titan anymore. What are they called? Level Up in Duluth. They support heavy, infinite realities. But we ship all across the country. You know, whoever orders, we're shipping books to them. We do wholesale. We have a guy in Baton Rouge that does pop-ups. And he's always ordering books. We're really appreciative of him. I think his name was Keith Cooper or something like that.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
he's wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, we're moving in that way. We're not in every comic shop, but the shops that order, we work it out, get books out to them, you know, regularly. So if there are anybody. I'm sorry?
But seriously, I do need some issues, though. But continue.
Yeah. I got you, man. But yeah, so any shops that are looking, bookstores as well. We do regular bookstores, not just comic shops. So anybody that's looking, just email us at TuskegeeHeirs@gmail.com, and we will work it out.
Cool. Other than comic book stores, have there been any other type of stores or any other type of vending or something that you want people to have it at? Oh, yeah. I mean, and in Duluth, this is actually the first Saturday in like 2 months that we haven't set up. There's a juice bar
in Duluth called Sage Juice Bar. I always messed that up. But they're awesome people. They're like family to us. Like, really, we've known them for years. And when it's no secret that a lot of artists, writers, and, you know, comic people in general have taken serious hits over COVID, just like everybody. I wouldn't even say it's much different. But like with us, we missed out not only on Mid-City, but right now we're up around 15 or 16 other conventions that have been canceled or postponed. So that's like a serious hit to us because we have Tuskegee Heirs. That money goes back into the business, but then, you know, Marcus has his posters and his ideas. I have my books and my ideas. So those are ways that we make money to, you know, keep taking care of our families and stuff, you know. So Sage, they were really nice enough to allow us to set up outside and, you know, just kind of, you know, meet some new people, and then some of our fans come out and then end up supporting the juice bar. So, you know, cooperative economics always works. We're looking for more places in the, you know, Atlanta area right now.
Okay. I'm trying to find, look, just to walk you behind the curtain, I'm gonna make her laugh. You know, I'm not used to Zoom stuff. My friend Nicolette, the wonderful Nicolette, who she put a question in the chat, so I'm gonna have to find it. So thank you. So I put it on blast because I see her, I hear the little squiggly thing in the back. I'm like, But okay, I see her question. What's the best way for a beginner to self-publish? By our wonderful co-worker, Nicolette.
So you definitely, of course, you want to complete the work first. You want to find printers. We believe in trying to go like to a source instead of like some of the mid-tier printers and everything. We want to go like directly to, you know, a high volume printer because you can get better rates. So you want to find somebody that can print at the, you know, to where it's affordable for you. But at the same time, you can print all that stuff up. You got to be able to have people to sell it to, right? So with us, with our first issue of Tuskegee Heirs, we took our own money because our Kickstarter was for a graphic novel. So we took our own money and we bought like 100 books, and then we sold those books and then flipped it, and, you know, just kept going from there. So that you got to learn the business. I'm going to let Marcus, do you have, you want to add to that?
My audio kind of fluttered on the end of the question. Can you just ask that question?
It's just saying for, oh, go ahead, Keith.
Basically, the question was, what is the best way for a beginner to self-publish?
Oh, to self-publish, yeah. It's a unique thing because it's I would say the best way to do it. It's about investing in yourself. So on the front end, it may sound like a lot of money, and depending on everybody's situation or whatever this individual situation is, it can be. If you say you want to lower the cost per book, per comic, let's say you have a 22-page book or something, and if you go to a smaller print run, let's say, oh, well, I only want 100 books. You may pay less for, I guess, versus a large print run, maybe $400 or $500, depending on where you get your print quote. But you're going to get 100 books, and you're going to have to sell that book at a competitive rate to try to make up for your, initial print run of $400 or $500. You're most likely not going to break. You're not going to make profit per se. If most comics don't sell, we sell our book at $10. So, but our books are a little bit larger than normal 22-page books. We usually have 30 pages. So we sell that. We haven't had an issue with that price, but we did a lot of research in finding a print run that worked with our margins, which is to say, yes, we're spending thousands, a few thousand up front to get a print of 2,000 or more comics. But that brings that cost per unit way down when you get that quantity. Printers have price breaks, and they have incentives to say, if you get more, we'll charge you less per unit. And when you do that investment, suddenly every book you sell is now profit, or until you pay yourself back for that print run. You can do that faster by selling fewer books, and then after you sell that, everything else is profit. If you don't have many other costs arranged, but for the print run at least, so you have to look at it as investing in yourself. There's a lot of great ways to kind of test the market before you make that huge investment to get 2,000 plus units. If it's your first book, you may want to test it out. You definitely want to kind of test the market. We did that initially before we found our printing solutions. We actually did get a few hundred, maybe 200 here, 200 there, or just to kind of see how people, because you don't want to print 2,000 books and you have a spelling error or something, So if you haven't done this before, give yourself that chance to kind of make those early initial mistakes.
And then it goes back to that crowdfunding, right? Which absolutely would be the best way early, because what you can do, like you can finish your book. So like with the search for Sadiqah, the book was finished when I released the Kickstarter. So it more acted as a pre-order. And that's what a lot of people are going to now. So now the customer is not like, oh, maybe I'll get a book or not. It's like, no, the book's done. I'm just trying to see if you want to order it before I do my print run. And then, you can get a little bit of money. Like I always say with Kickstarters, don't ask for the moon, just ask for what you really need to get the project done. Because like if you only, say you were doing a $1,700 print run, that's all you need, is $1,700 to print up the books. And then, whatever else you get is just gravy. But then you're, that part where Marcus was saying, invest in yourself. This way, you're not incurring those costs up front. People are going to purchase, they're going to pledge, and then you'll have the money to where, you can kind of start. It's almost like the benefit of being able to sign with a publisher, without having to sign with a publisher, because it's like you're going to get the money fronted to you. You don't have to come out of pocket for it. And then you can just go right into the market with it.
So you're saying if I do a Kickstarter, that's for $1,700, I shouldn't ask about 20 grand so I can, give me a new car, something like that.
It's all up to you. I personally just think it's a lot better to, have that humble, and you actually see it. Right now, a couple of really good people, TJ Sterling has a Kickstarter right now. I think he was trying to get 3,000. That's all he needed. But right now, I think last time I looked, he was up over like 15.
Yes, he has smashed his Kickstarter.
Yeah. Newton, Lillavois. Have you read Crescent City Monsters yet?
I've read episode 1, but it's more like you don't read it. It's more like you absorb it in your membrane because it's so beautiful.
It's so spectacular. Yeah. He just launched the other day, and I think he already reached his goal. He was doing 10,000, but he's doing like a graphic, like a trade paperback with 4 books in it. So, if you're humble, what I'm saying, ask for what you need, and you never know. Like we're witnesses. You can't control what goes viral. You can push it, but if you mess around and go viral, I pledged to it. I'm going to forget the lady's name, but she did one. She was trying to get I think she was trying to get like 5,000. She ended up getting 80 something. Wow. This was just recently. So,
yeah.
You never know. If you catch that right breeze, you never know what can happen.
Speaking of which, you mentioned something. So I guess to kind of go into the marketing side of things, you mentioned about going viral. What methods do you all use on social media, other platforms, but does everybody use social media to promote their works, their show, their books? What methods do you all use, and what do y'all recommend that self-publishers should do?
I say like, so it kind of depends, but Facebook, you can create a Facebook page for your works. It pretty much can do everything that you need a website to do. You want to use Instagram, Twitter. I suck at Twitter. I tweet sometimes. But yeah, those are the main ones. Facebook is weird now. I had a marketing guy recently who broke down what Facebook is now. Facebook's business page is basically just it's pay for play. We have like 18,000 plus followers on our Facebook page, but we post something and it might only be visible to like 100 people. So Facebook, they really want you using their ads now in order to, kind of get that visibility. So they want you to boost your posts and promote your page, all that kind of stuff. Instagram is similar. I'm gonna let the Instagram master, because Marcus has like 100,000 followers on Instagram. So I'm gonna let him talk about Instagram.
There's I'm still trying to find out if there's an algorithm or some sort of hidden secret to it, man. I throw stuff at the internet all the time. One of my highest liked and followed and shared thing was a sketch that I did in 30 minutes. And that's when the voice actor of Granddad,
John
Witherspoon passed away. And I just did it. It was a 30-minute sketch, man. I did not do it. I didn't put any thought into it. Was not a long post, nothing. It was just a sketch. And it got over 30,000. It went viral. I can only assume that it was just for the content or it touched people. There is thought that you can put into your post. There is definitely a method to going viral. I haven't perfected it. I just like drawing stuff that connects, that makes me feel good. But when you're posting online, it's like complete lottery because there's thousands and millions, if not, content creators all trying to vie for the same kind of reaction, which is, hey, look what I posted. Do you care? Share it, like it, comment on it. And there's no guarantee to it unless you're a beautiful woman, in which case, neither me or Greg are. So we can't guarantee everybody what to do. I think everyone loves, beautiful women on the internet, and you don't have to be naked, but that's the only guarantee I have, people. That's all I can tell you from my experience. You'd be a beautiful lady and you can go viral with very little effort as an artist or creative, and you're coming up with something that does not have any history. No one knows about it, never heard of it before. You're throwing it into the universe saying, I hope someone sees it. And that world, it's so freaking dense, man. There's so many people trying
so
to
much stuff.
Yeah.
It's just so much. I think about remember I did the little short video of the Black Panther cosplayer in New York, and I just posted that, and then I looked up like the next morning and it had like 170,000 views, and I'm like, dang, I didn't like tag the guy. I had to go back and find him so I could, add it. But it was too late. But it ended up like last time I looked, it had like 300,000 views or something. You can't control the stuff that you can control is, which I've learned. I had this marketing lady that gave me like a whole lowdown, and she was explaining the value of hashtags. Like if you learn to use the right ones, And so I've seen it like just by using, you know, hashtagging the right stuff. It's like we constantly, because we're not gonna lie, we were pretty terrible with our Instagram, our Tuskegee Heirs Instagram page in the beginning. So I was like, all right, let's go ahead and try to, you know, start bumping it up. So we see constantly people liking, even if you don't post in like a week, you always see people stumbling on. What us old people didn't understand is that, you know, young people follow hashtags, and some old, you know, I'm not gonna say young, savvy people follow hashtags. And so there's like a hashtag IG Comics Family. It's, you know, it's got like 188,000, you know, something. It's a lot of people that use that hashtag. And so, you know, that stuff will start popping up if you follow.
And just speaking of hashtags, this is one of the first person who I saw use this hashtag, hashtag Black Comics with an X, I think was Jason Reeves. And I love using that for myself, and I get to see, you know, some great stuff, some strange stuff, some cosplayers. It goes through so much that you can find people. So it's kind of become a part of, you know, part of what I do for my podcast as well too. Especially when I talk to people like you, DJ Sterling. If I'm discussing a book, I will put and say, you know, like a comic by a Black comic book creator, I will put the Black Comics tag on it. So making it easier to find or people to discuss, you know, that topic or whatever. So I think we're coming up on about 6 minutes left. So whatever reason, these people are not asking questions. I guess we're answering all these questions 110%. Must be perfect. We're giving all this wonderful knowledge. So what we're gonna do?
We do practice. We practice this.
Hey, when you're a living legend like you.
Come on now, I'm working on it.
Don't be modest.
I think the one cool thing I can say is it's anyone interested in self-publishing versus, I guess, going with a publisher, there are pros and cons. It is a very, very specific to your personal needs. We joke, I've jokingly said this to other people that want to get into our position. Don't have a family right now, man. Don't have kids that you like to hang out with. You know, if you don't like your spouse, it's a great time to go into comics. I mean, that's joking, but it's like, if you don't understand that this is it's a part-time, full-time. It's the best way to explain it. You're never not thinking about it. It's if you're passionate about what you're doing. It's being an entrepreneur in essence, and to say, if you try to do this part-time, I'm sure someone does comics in part-time, and they don't need the money, they don't need to make a living off of it. It's just for fun. And I believe that their life is probably great. Anybody trying to survive and pay bills with comics, man, you have a good analogy is comics is like a burning building that everyone's trying to rush into, which is, it's not for the faint of heart. You're gonna have to literally, you know, deal with the bumps and bruises of producing something that is, it takes a lot of effort. You have to really pay, if you want a quality product. Once you get it, you have to then not only deal with trying to make it successful, you have to deal with criticism. You have to deal with feedback. You have to deal with your personal feelings. If someone's in your face saying, I don't really think it's worth it, I think you could do better. And you spent months working on this thing. You have to have a thick enough skin to deal with failure on top of all of this passion that you're putting into this project, you know, and that's only your first book. So good luck. Good luck with the other, you know, a dozen. And even if you do a short series, six issues, every single episode, man, you're dealing with life on top of something as diverse as being an entrepreneur. And
okay, Marcus, you're going to make people not want to do it.
Look, I'm about to say, listen, the rewards of it
amazing.
The rewards of it can be monumental, but you have to survive and be ready to actually combat all of that stuff. Going into business is not an easy thing unless you have a whole bunch of people holding you up in case, oh, you did, oh, you know what, you lost all your, you know, your money and you haven't
Don't
seen the book.
worry, I got your back. But I will say you know, when it's all said and done, like, and I think about, you know, as we think about Chadwick Boseman, who just passed away last night, that was devastating, like, for me and for a lot of people. I think about his legacy, and I'm not even just going to talk about Black Panther. I'm going to talk about Jackie Robinson and Thurgood Marshall and James Brown and leaving a legacy, right? So I was on the train where, you know, this is the Denzel of the next generation. He's going to go down as one of the greatest actors ever, and he's going to. And he was able to do something and leave a mark, and that's huge. I'm not trying to compare us to him in any shape, form, or fashion, but just to know that we have touched people with the art that we've created, it outweighs all of that. I've been thinking a lot about, you know, my legacy, you know, and it's really how you impact other people, right? So at the end of the day, you know, they're not going to be like, you know, Greg and Marcus, you know, spent 30 hours in 3 days, you know, editing and getting this book done. All they're going to think about is how that book impacted them. And that's the great part about completing something.
And folks, I can tell you, the book greatly impacted me, and you will love it if you go get it. So since we have like a minute left, I want y'all to tell people where they can find you, get the book, you know, just drop your information, and then we'll be ready to close up.
So we have Tuskegee Heirs issue 4 just released. It's not even been 2 weeks. It's only been a week. We got 2 different covers, and you can go to TuskegeeHeirs.com to get that. We also got the trade paperback here. It's got the first 3 volumes. It's really nice buy. TuskegeeHeirs.com. And then I have a website for the search for Sadiqah. If you want to know about that, listen to the Blurtish podcast, because we really dug deep. We talked about Tuskegee Heirs too, though.
Yes.
And that is at platforml7.com. And we're on Instagram and Facebook is TuskegeeHeirs.com and Twitter.
So like the man said, you can, if you want to go deeper into the story and learn more about it. Fortunately, we ran out of time because we filled
up. And then MarcusTheVisual.com. Go get posters. They're dope.
I spend all my con money on them. I know. I'm going to be indebted to Marcus one day. Just wait till 2021. Like, it's my 40th birthday next year. When I see y'all, I'm just going to literally just go, money, take it. Give me what you got. So check out their podcast at www.blerd-ish.com. That's www.blerd.com. You can listen to it in depth. I even posted the one from 2018. We first met these gentlemen with Jason when they came down to Baton Rouge. And of course, we just talked about the search for Sadiqah. So with that said, thanks for joining us. As a reminder, this will be recorded, so you will be able to play it back if you missed it. If you have any questions, you can email midcitymicrocon@gmail.com. Our next session is going to be the Bring It Back, using the past to create the future. I've got some wonderful people like Nuwana and Nuri McAdams, wonderful people, and we're going to have a great time. So thank y'all for tuning in. This has been my time, and I'm going to sign off.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you having us, man. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.